I think as small businesses, we tend to think maybe the rules don't apply to us or that we'll just get away with it. And unfortunately, the legislation, particularly here in Australia, isn't that friendly for businesses. And sticking your head in the sand isn't a defence that the Fair Work Commission are particularly happy with.
Mhm.
And the fines can be pretty horrendous for small businesses. So whilst a big business might be able to take a bit of a hit on an unfair dismissal claim or a fine, for a small business that can send you under very, very quickly. And also in the current market, applicants are pretty smart and savvy. They know what their entitlements are. They know what the awards are. They know all the bits and pieces. And we all know that the war for talent is pretty tight.
Mm.
To find the best people, we've got to be doing all the right things and beyond. And so it's just one of those things that you don't want to have the headache of. And it's not hard to get it right, but it is something you shouldn't stick your head in the sand about because the risks are just too high, I think.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. It is really interesting as a small business owner, and obviously, Spark is a community of
Yeah.
small business owners. I do tend to hear that, that it'll just be okay. Don't worry about it. Worry about it when we're a little bit bigger or whatever. But you are spot on. It does come back to bite you if you're not actually educating yourself.
Yeah. Being a bit proactive. And I think there's this perception that HR is just for big business.
Mm,
And it's not, but what small businesses need is also very different to what big businesses need. So if you've come out of a corporate environment before
yeah.
you start your business, the natural inclination is just think, well, I don't need all of that. And no, you don't. But it doesn't mean you don't need no HR whatsoever.
Yeah.
You still need some employment contracts, some job descriptions, some policies, some processes, but you don't need the bells and whistles, all the stuff that a big corporate has. And in fact, most of it's not relevant to you and your team.
Yeah, and that's probably the thing, isn't it? Is you come from a corporate, like a lot of us did
Yeah.
or do, and you see that huge HR function, and of course you're like, and if we all talk about lean,
Hmm.
let's run a lean business. So you go,
Yeah.
oh, that's not for me. But I don't think it has to be scary. I think to your point is, yes, you may not need all of the things, but cherry picking what is going to set you up for business success, it's going to save you so much stress and
Hmm.
potentially financial liability in
Yeah.
the future.
Yeah, it's all about protecting your business and creating processes that make your business thrive. That's the most important thing because for me, I think the key is you can't have a business that is both successful by all the measures that you want business to be successful by and that gives you any sense of freedom
Mm.
without the right team. Because you can have a super successful business on your own. Absolutely. It can be amazingly profitable, but there's no holidays, there's no weekends, there's no evenings with the family or friends or whatever you want to be doing. So you need a team to have a really successful business that also gives you freedom. And most of us didn't get into business because we want to work 80 hours a week. That's generally not our plan. It's the
That's not
reality of the
freedom.
time.
Where's that freedom word that we all
Exactly.
say?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you do need a team. And when you're going to have a team, you need to know how to make sure your business is protected and you've got the right things in place to make sure that it really, hums along nicely.
You're so right. And I, literally before we hit record, I was saying that about I'm just about to go away and going, oh my God, I've got to dial into a couple of calls and hating life. But so when do we actually think about things? Is it when we hire our first person, or should we actually be thinking about HR from the get-go?
Look, I think you want to think about it as soon as you're starting to, excuse me, engage people in your business because you want to be thinking about, okay, am I getting outsourced VAs,
Yeah.
internal staff? And what you're going to need around all of that is going to be very different. So, of course, you should always be thinking about it when you're planning, but that's not the reality. Let's be serious. So, if you've got an employee on your team, you want to make sure, and a direct employee who you're paying in your payroll, that's the time to start to make sure you're educating yourself, you understand
Mm.
your obligations, you understand all of the rules around it. And certainly as you start to build out that team, that's when you really want to get some structure. Because with 2 or 3 employees, you can wing a lot of things as long as you've got enough knowledge.
Mm.
When you start to get more and more staff, that's when it becomes a little bit trickier to manage if you don't have things in place, like they all want to take leave at once. Do you have a process for managing that? So,
Mm.
with new levels, new devils, you get all different challenges. But if you are hiring employees directly, you absolutely want to start to educate yourself at the very least to make sure that your business is protected.